So, there I was, a 45-year-old black veteran just trying to move into my inherited lake cabin when this HOA Karen in her $80,000 BMW calls the cops and tells them I'm obviously stealing furniture because apparently black men can't own lakefront property in her perfect little world. Let me paint you this picture. It's 2 p.m. on a peaceful Tuesday. The smell of pine needles is thick in the air, loons calling across the crystal clear water. I'm Marcus, fresh out of a messy divorce, finally catching a break with this cabin my great-uncle Ezra left me. I've got my IT consulting van backed up, hauling in boxes when this blonde nightmare storms over like her Botox is about to expire. What are you doing to our neighborhood? I show her my deed. She doesn't even look at it. I don't care what fake papers you have. You don't belong here. The crunch of gravel under her designer heels as she speed dials 911. Yes. There's a suspicious man with a truck stealing furniture from the Hendricks property. 20 minutes later, 2 bewildered cops are apologizing to me while Brenda Whitmore, HOA president for life, apparently, is shrieking about property values and the wrong element. Her parting shot as she clicks away. Enjoy it while it lasts. Oh, lady, you have no idea what you just started. What would you do if someone called the cops on you for the crime of existing while black in suburbia? Where are you watching from? I need to know I'm not alone in this HOA nightmare. Let me back up and tell you who I am, because this story makes a lot more sense when you understand what Brenda was really up against. I'm Marcus Thompson, 45, spent 12 years in the Army before getting into IT consulting. Recently divorced, my ex-wife got the house in Atlanta. I got the debt and weekend custody of my 2 teenagers, Jasmine and Kevin. Just when I thought I was financially screwed for life, my great-uncle Ezra passed and left me his lake cabin in rural Georgia. Uncle Ezra was one of those guys who bought lakefront property back when nobody wanted it, 1962. 2 acres of pristine wilderness for what you'd pay for a used car today. The cabin's a classic A-frame, cedar shingles, weathered silver gray. Needs some TLC, but solid as a rock. Floor-to-ceiling windows facing the water, stone fireplace, the whole 9 yards. Serenity Says is this little community of 47 homes scattered around a spring-fed lake, mostly retirees and weekend warriors from Atlanta. The kind of place where you wave at everyone and nobody locks their doors. Or so I thought. Enter Brenda Whitmore, 52. Blonde highlights, fresh from the salon. Driving cars that cost more than most people make in a year. She's been HOA president for 6 consecutive years. Nobody else wants the job, which should have been my first red flag. Her husband Roger works at the local bank. Seems nice enough, but clearly terrified of his wife. No kids, so Brenda treats the HOA like her personal kingdom. The woman is obsessed with standards. Mailboxes must be forest green. Trash cans invisible from the road, grass height not exceeding 2.5 in. She's got a measuring tape in her BMW, and she's not afraid to use it. Day 2 of my new lakefront life. I'm sitting on the deck with my morning coffee, listening to the gentle lap of water against the dock, breathing in that clean morning air that smells like pine and possibility, when I hear the crunch of tires on gravel. Brenda emerges from a white Mercedes this time, clutching a manila envelope like it's a weapon. She's wearing a tennis outfit that probably costs more than my monthly child support. Mr. Thompson. She says it like my name tastes bad. I have some concerns. She hands me a certified letter citing 15 violations. Unpermitted shed built in 1987. Inappropriate commercial vehicle. My work van. Unsightly equipment. Breathtaking. Ma'am, I just moved in yesterday. The violations existed before you arrived. Previous owner's negligence doesn't excuse current owner's responsibility. I checked the county records that afternoon. The shed was properly permitted. The van is parked legally on my own property. The generator is recommended by the power company for rural areas. Every single violation is either legal or completely made up. But here's the thing about bullies. They count on you not knowing your rights. Some of my neighbors are friendly but nervous. Frank and Dorothy Casey, this sweet elderly couple next door, wave and smile, but won't make eye contact when Brenda's around. The Johnson family, young parents with 2 kids, seemed excited to meet me until Brenda paid them a visit. Now they hurry inside when I walk by. Only person who seems immune is old Pete Rodriguez, who's lived here since the 70s. He just shakes his head and mutters about that woman whenever Brenda's name comes up. That first night, lying in Uncle Ezra's old bedroom, listening to the sound of water lapping at the shore, I realize I'm not just dealing with a control freak. I'm dealing with someone who sees my presence as a threat to her carefully constructed world. She has no idea who she's messing with. Brenda wasn't done with her little power play. Day 3, I'm sipping coffee on the deck. That first sip always tastes better with morning mist rising off the water when a white county truck crunches up my gravel driveway. Out steps a building inspector looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. Mr. Thompson got a complaint filed yesterday about commercial operations at this address. I invite him in, show him my commercial empire. A laptop, printer, and cell phone on the kitchen table. The guy's practically apologetic. Keeps glancing around like he's embarrassed to be there. Sir, I got to ask, you've been having issues with your HOA president? He lowers his voice. Someone's been real persistent about this property. Filed maybe a dozen complaints over the years about the previous owner too. That stops me cold. Previous owner? Yeah, old Mr. Hendricks. Nice guy. Documented everything. Said the same person kept trying to get him evicted for violations that didn't exist. He shakes his head. Between you and me, I think she was hoping he'd just give up and sell. After he leaves, my mind's racing. I head to the crawl space under the cabin. Flashlight cutting through dusty air that smells like old wood and mouse droppings. Uncle Ezra was a pack rat and jackpot. There's 3 banker boxes stuffed with correspondence. 15 years of letters, lawyer threats, certified mail receipts, HOA violation notices by the dozens, all signed with that familiar flourish. Brenda Whitmore, president. The woman had been waging a paper war against Uncle Ezra since 2008. I'm sorting through this treasure trove when my phone buzzes. Derek, my lawyer buddy from Atlanta. $300 I can't afford, but sometimes you gotta spend money to save money. Marcus, you said this woman's been HOA president for 6 years running. That's weird. Most states require annual elections, financial reports to maintain legal standing. I can hear him typing in the background. Let me check the state business registry. Hold on. Holy dude. Your HOA hasn't filed required paperwork since 2021. They're not even legally recognized anymore. My heart starts pounding. I remember reading somewhere that organizations lose their authority when they don't maintain proper registration. What does that mean exactly? It means every fine they've issued in the last 2 years is worthless. They have zero legal standing to enforce anything. I'm sitting there in Uncle Ezra's old recliner, legal documents scattered around me like confetti when it hits me. This is why Uncle Ezra kept everything. He knew someday someone would need ammunition to fight back. That evening, I'm grilling some bass I caught off the dock, enjoying the symphony of frogs and cicadas when Frank Casey appears at our property line like a nervous spy. Marcus, he whispers, glancing toward Brenda's house. Dorothy made cookies, chocolate chip. He hands me a plate that smells like pure comfort food. She wanted you to know. That woman pulled the same stunt with the Johnsons last year. What kind of stunt? Complained to the county about their kids playing basketball. Too much noise, she said. Tried to fine them $2,000 for having a hoop in their own driveway. Frank's voice gets even quieter. Then her real estate company sends them a letter a week later. Lowball offer to help them relocate somewhere more suitable for families. The pieces slam together like a puzzle box, clicking shut. This isn't about property standards or community harmony. Brenda's running a systematic extortion racket. Harass residents until they crack, then swoop in with her real estate license to flip their properties for profit. Frank shuffles his feet in the pine needles. Your uncle figured it out years ago. Said she'd already pushed out 3 families before he started keeping records. As Frank melts back into the darkness, I sit on my deck listening to a beaver smack the water somewhere across the lake. The sound echoes off the hills like applause. Uncle Ezra hadn't just left me a cabin, he'd left me a smoking gun. But Brenda's not done escalating. Next morning, she posts on the neighborhood Facebook group. Concerns about new residents' activities affecting community safety and property values. Vague enough to avoid a lawsuit, specific enough to plant seeds of doubt. 3 likes, all from accounts created the same day. Desperate people do dangerous things. As Frank heads home, I sit in the gathering darkness. listening to the night symphony. Frogs, cicadas, the distant call of a night heron. Brenda's escalating because she's running out of options, which means her next move is going to be her biggest mistake yet. I'm ready for it. The breakthrough came from the most unexpected place, Uncle Ezra's old recipe box. I'm cleaning out the kitchen pantry, finding canned goods that expired during the Obama administration. When I knock over this wooden recipe box tucked behind the flour canister, recipe cards scatter across the linoleum like oversized confetti. And that's when I see it. A sealed envelope marked for whoever comes after me in Uncle Ezra's shaky handwriting. My hands are actually trembling as I tear it open. The letter inside is dated just 3 months before he died. If you're reading this, that means Brenda Whitmore is probably giving you hell. She's been after this property for 15 years, and I've got the documentation to prove it. Check the metal box under the loose floorboard in the bedroom closet. Everything's there. The real story of what she's been doing to folks around here. The floorboard squeaks like a rusty hinge when I pry it up. Inside the metal box, wrapped in plastic bags like evidence from a crime scene, are photographs, bank records, and a hand-drawn map of the community with houses marked in different colors. Red X's mark 5 properties. The Henderson's place sold 2019 after mysterious septic emergencies. The Williams family moved after their teenage son was repeatedly cited for noise violations from practicing guitar. The elderly Kowalski couple relocated to assisted living after Brenda reported them for unsafe living conditions. Every red X represents a family that Brenda systematically harassed until they sold. Every property was purchased by Lakeshore Realty, Brenda's company, for 20–30% below market value, then flipped within 6 months. But Uncle Ezra had discovered something else. Bank records showing Brenda's investment scheme was failing spectacularly. She'd leveraged everything, her house, Roger's retirement account, even borrowed against their life insurance to fund property flips that weren't selling. According to Uncle Ezra's notes, she owed $47,000 in back taxes on investment properties. Her real estate license had 3 formal complaints filed against it for aggressive solicitation tactics. She was bleeding money faster than she could acquire new properties to flip. The final piece of the puzzle hits me like a slap across the face. A copy of a desperate letter Brenda sent to Uncle Ezra just weeks before he died. Mr. Riss, I'm prepared to offer $180,000 for your property, which is extremely generous considering the extensive repairs needed. I can have cash in hand by Friday if you sign the attached purchase agreement. This offer expires in 48 hours, and I cannot guarantee future opportunities will be as favorable. Market value for Uncle Ezra's property, $420,000 minimum. She wasn't just a control freak HOA president. She was running a systematic extortion racket, targeting vulnerable residents to feed her failing investment addiction. And now she was facing financial ruin if she couldn't acquire and flip properties fast enough to service her debts. I'm sitting on Uncle Ezra's bedroom floor, surrounded by evidence of a 15-year crime spree, when my phone buzzes. Text from an unknown number. We need to talk. Meet me at Rusty's Diner on Highway 9. Come alone. R. Roger. 30 minutes later, I'm sliding into a cracked vinyl booth across from Brenda's husband. He looks like he hasn't slept in weeks. Bloodshot eyes, stubble, shirt wrinkled like he slept in it. The diner smells like bacon grease and desperation, which feels oddly appropriate. She doesn't know I'm here. He starts without preamble. If she finds out, he shakes his head, stirring sugar into coffee with hands that won't stay steady. Roger, I know about the investment properties, the debt, the harassment scheme. His face goes white. How much do you know? Everything. Uncle Ezra documented it all. Roger closes his eyes like he's in physical pain. I tried to stop her years ago when it started getting out of hand, but she said we were too far in to quit. Said one more flip would fix everything. How bad is it? We're 3 months from losing everything. The house, my retirement, her business license. She's borrowed against policies that don't even exist anymore. His voice drops to a whisper. Marcus, she's talking about doing something desperate. Something that would force you to sell. The coffee in my cup suddenly tastes like ash. What kind of desperate? I don't know specifics, but she's been researching insurance claims, talking to contractors about accidental property damage. She thinks if your cabin becomes unlivable, you'll take a quick cash offer and disappear. The weight of it settles on me like a lead blanket. Brenda's not just harassing me, she's planning to destroy my home. But Roger's revelation gives me something more valuable than evidence. It gives me leverage. Roger, what if I told you there was a way to end this without destroying your lives? He looks up, hope flickering in his tired eyes like a candle in the wind. The road easement to your house runs through my property. One legal document and Brenda's house becomes landlocked, worthless. The implications hit him immediately. You do that only if she forces me to, but if she backs off completely, permanently, the easement stays in place. You keep your home, she keeps her license, and everyone moves on with their lives. Roger slumps back in the booth like a man who's been carrying a crushing weight and finally found somewhere to set it down. What do you need me to do? Outside, thunder rumbles in the distance, and the first drops of rain spatter against the diner's windows. Storm's coming, but for the first time since this whole mess started, I'm not the one who should be worried about getting caught in it. The war room was Uncle Ezra's dining table, covered in legal documents, property surveys, and enough coffee cups to caffeinate a small army. The smell of fresh brewed dark roast mixed with the musty scent of old papers as I assembled my team for what military folks call mission planning. Derek drove down from Atlanta that weekend, laptop bags slung over his shoulder like he was heading into battle, which in a way he was. Marcus, this easement situation is beautiful, he says, spreading the original 1987 agreement across the table. Your great-uncle was either psychic or paranoid, but this good neighbor clause is ironclad. Any pattern of harassment gives you grounds for revocation. How do we prove harassment legally? Documentation you've already got, plus witness testimony. But here's the sweet part. You don't have to prove it in court. Easement revocation is administrative. File the paperwork. Provide evidence. Done. Frank Casey shuffles over from next door, bringing Dorothy's homemade cinnamon rolls that smell like heaven and taste even better. At 73, Frank's got the mind of an engineer and the institutional memory of someone who's watched this community evolve for decades. I surveyed half these properties back in the 80s, he tells us, adjusting his reading glasses to study the boundary maps. Your uncle was smart keeping that road strip. Most developers would have deeded it to the community for maintenance costs. What about alternative access to Brenda's house? Frank shakes his head. Wetlands on 3 sides, your property on the 4th. Environmental permits for a new road would take years, if they're even possible. That woman painted herself into a corner. Dorothy arrives with a casserole that fills the cabin with the warm smell of comfort food. But she's not just here for the cooking. Turns out the retired school principal has been quietly documenting HOA shenanigans for years. I kept copies of every illegal fee notice, every bogus violation, she explains, pulling a manila folder from her purse thicker than a phone book. Figured someday we'd need evidence. Brenda collected over $30,000 in assessment fees with no legal authority. The 4th member of our informal council arrives Sunday morning. Jake Morrison, a local contractor who looks like he arm wrestles bulldozers for fun. His work,